Good morning. It's a Sunday here as I smoke my pipe and drink a cup of coffee. Welcome back to the channel. The wind is howling around the house. The bins are flying all over the place. I went out this morning at 7:15. Somebody's bin had fallen over the recycling and I picked up all the bits, shoved it in, and I've laid many of the bins across the road which are just falling like dominoes on their side, and tuck them against the little walls that are in front of people's gardens so that they don't go flying around. And a couple of bins were in the road. And as I was doing this, cars came along and they just stopped, and the guys in the cars were just like looking at me saying, "Well, can you pick the bin up, please?" It's like, yes, I'm doing the bins. You don't have to get out your car. It was very funny. Anyway, it's not what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm smoking my pipe because you need to have a few you need to have a few creature comforts, don't you, in this world, to get you through things. I had an email yesterday, and this is the crux of what I wanted to talk about in today's show. I had an email from somebody with the caption on the subject line, suicide. Now, I don't know if this particular individual is still watching. I don't know him, and he sounded very down, very low indeed. And I imagine there is a lot of people in that same position who are feeling the pressure of everything, particularly at the moment, just before Christmas. You know, you may have lost loved ones. We know that a lot of people took a certain medical intervention, and we know that as a result of that, people have had an enormous amount of problems. And it didn't matter that many people did try to warn them not to do it, not to take it, that it was not what it seemed. And now people probably feel a little isolated, perhaps, because the people that warned them, they don't want to go back. They need to save face. And I've spoken about that in the past. And this chap got in touch and I said, look, the most important thing that you need to know when you're feeling like this, and I know what it's like because when I was losing my eye, I had 4 years, 3 cornea transplants, and then the removal of the eye, plus biopsies and various other things, drops. I was, for 4 years, pretty much a hermit in my house with the curtains drawn. I couldn't go out, I couldn't bear light. I did go out, I wore dark glasses, and I drove across the country and was doing corporate videos in quite a lot of pain, and I was trying not to take the medication at the same time. It was a very dark period of my life, and at one point I was suicidal myself. I just could not bear the pain. I had sclerosis in the eye as well as the acanthamoeba, and I had 9 weeks of absolute torment, and I was beside myself, and I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to end it all. I couldn't bear the pain. It just went on and on and on and on. And a friend of mine, a very wise friend of mine, said to me, "This will pass." And at the time, I didn't think it could possibly pass because it was so awful. But it did. And I was able to beg the doctors at Moorfields to take the eye out. And reluctantly, they did. And I now have an artificial eye. And as they say, I haven't looked back. Excuse the pun. And so, in your darkest times, and many of us are facing those sort of things, we think it is insurmountable. We think that it is inevitable, it will only get worse, and that's it. But that isn't inevitable. It will pass. Things will change. And when I read about people who've taken their lives, it is a very, very sad thing, because a year from that point, their life may well have changed. Okay, it's a dark thing. And maybe sometimes these dark things, the things that we think are almost too difficult to cope with, are lessons. I learnt so much from that period. And actually, when I was suicidal and I thought bottle of whiskey and a train track, I couldn't do it because I had 3 amazing children. I had 3 other lives that I was responsible for, and I am still responsible for them. Only the other day, my dear daughter said, I'm a bit stuck with money. I'm juggling it about a bit. Any chance I could borrow some? Of course. And I said, don't ask to borrow. I don't want you having a debt over your head. Have it. I'm busking on the internet. One has to have faith. One has to have a belief. One has to know that we're here for a higher purpose. We're here to do good. And if we do good, right things will follow. If we don't do good, then, you know, that won't happen. But I think that we are here, and whilst I have been demonetized from YouTube, and people have been so kind, so generous, so amazing by making donations. And by the way, thank you to everybody. Some people are using the little link that takes you to help me buy silver, which is out of the fiat currency, and some of you are using the PayPal link, which is, I'm just very grateful. It's nice to not have to take the YouTube money for the adverts. I don't know whether they put the adverts on, and probably do, and probably make money out of the videos anyway, but I don't see any of that. I have clean hands as far as that is concerned. I'm not taking money from corporations. And when I started out, funnily enough, I used to juggle and unicycle and various mime things, and I busked. I busked in the streets, doing danger shows, juggling razor-sharp knives and lying on beds of nails and things like that. And now I'm busking on the internet. This is what this is. It's busking on the internet. Until the right time comes and the right piece of land comes, and we're looking and we're going to find it, and people will think, oh, Richard, it hasn't happened, you know, it's never happening. And these things take time when the right time comes. And so we are, as I say, at the beginning of the lead up to Christmas. And it's a very difficult time for a lot of people. People are travelling across the country. We've seen the dark forces. We've seen the non-benevolent government, the reveal themselves as to what their true colours are. We've seen the hatred, we've seen the snarling faces on the television. I don't have a television, but people send me stuff. We've seen that they do not like us. They call us useless eaters. They want rid of us. They're poisoning the skies. And maybe I read somewhere that they're even spraying mood-altering drugs in the sky, substances which change our moods, which means this is more a time, more than ever, that we have to look at our mood and go, what is causing me to feel this way? Is it my own thoughts and my circumstances, or is it something external? And we need to combat that. And we combat that by eating healthy food, by drinking healthy drinks, by keeping clear of all medication, keeping clear from chemicals, keeping away from as many of the EMFs as we can, and control our lives, and getting back to a more natural, nature-based stuff. I mean, it's the stuff I talk about all the time. Nicotine, I'm smoking my pipe. Nicotine is a very useful substance, actually. I watched a video the other day, and the guy said, if you get stung by a bee, little tip here, rub tobacco on the sting, because it will get rid of the sting. The nicotine is an incredible medicinal herb. People don't want you to know that, and actually smoking it, getting the nicotine into your body, is actually very good, certainly against certain medical interventions. And it's also a very pleasant thing, smoking a pipe. But anyway, I'm not forcing that down on anybody. If you're feeling low and you're worried, try not to. This will pass. This will move on. We will see better times. They're only round the corner. Another friend of mine was going, I can't see that we'll ever get out of this. They seem too big. No, they've fallen. The big dark forces have fallen. They're throwing everything at us. It is a time in which we must stand strong, but realise that they are throwing out the last of their missiles at us with the fear-mongering, the weather manipulation, the poison left, right and centre. They're throwing everything at us because they have nothing else. We are stronger, more powerful than they realise, and we need to open that pineal gland, keep our vibrations high. We know it will pass. And that's what gives us strength, because we are eternal souls. We are eternal spirits, and they cannot dent us as much as they want to keep us down and turn us into some sort of weird transhumanism. We are eternal, and we are high vibrational spirits. It will pass. So if you're feeling low, don't. Try not to. I know it's so hard. It is so hard. Find something. The key is to be creative. Do something creative. That will help you thrive. This is why they give you 9 to 5, long hours, boring jobs, which is not creative. When you're creative, when you're doing something that is creative, making something, whether it be a painting, whether it be music, whether it be even just going for walks in the countryside and collecting different types of, I don't know, acorns and nuts and plants, or identifying things, or learning something. When you're being creative, you are thriving. And they cannot bear that. And that's how we mitigate it all. So thrive and know that they cannot win. It will pass.